Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone. My name is Dr. Danae Starks, and I am here with BSBA, the Black Small Business Association of California, bringing this discussion to you all today. Today, we have some guests with us. We have Heather Lutzy, and we have Everett Sands from Lindustry. Heather is from the SBA. And what we'd really like to do today is be able to answer some community questions that you all have regarding PPP, that you all have regarding EIDL, either versions 1 or versions 2. Also discuss the California Relief Grant and answer any other community questions that you all may have. At this time, I would like to take a moment to introduce our guests and have them introduce themselves and give us a little background about what they do. And right now I will turn it over to Ms. Lutzy. Can you introduce yourself, Heather?
Yes, thank you so much, Danae. My name is Heather Lutzy, and I am the District Director for the Sacramento District Office for the U.S. Small Business Administration. The Sacramento office encompasses the 22 northeastern counties of the state. So we go up to the Oregon border, over to Nevada, down to San Joaquin, and then over to the coastal communities. Our office is charged with providing the products and services that are offered through SBA to our constituents and to business associations such alike.
Ms. Heather?
Yeah, can you still hear me? Okay.
Okay. You got cut off a little bit. Can you
got that first part of it? In any case, yeah. I'm excited. Redo. Okay, so hopefully you can hear me now. Again, I'm the District Director for the Sacramento District Office, and my staff and I are charged with promoting the products and services of the U.S. Small Business Administration. The services that we offer are all free of charge. They are actually already prepaid by your tax dollars. So anything that we assist you with or that our resource partners assist you with comes as a part of the taxes that you pay. So absolutely take advantage of those services. So thanks for having me.
Thank you for being with us. We are so excited to have you today. At this time, we'll let Everett Sands introduce himself. He is the CEO of Lindustry. Could you tell us about yourself?
Yeah. Hey, Dr. Danae, it's a pleasure to be here tonight and to be here with the individuals of California and beyond. Excited to be here and to share any wisdom or any information that I can give. Lindustry is a community development financial institution, a community development entity, the nation's second largest SBA community advantage lender, which means we do loan amounts between $50,000 and $250,000. And we're also a PPP lender. In the first round, we did roughly about $184 million. And we hope to do the same or greater to help the small businesses across the country. We are, again, excited to be here and to help answer questions you might have about PPP. Naturally, we hope we can answer all of them between Ms. Lutzy and myself. Hopefully we have all the wisdom that you need, but if not, we'll try to get the answers to you in short order. So you're welcome to go to lindustry.com and review information on PPP 1 or the first draw, as well as PPP 2, the second draw, when you're ready. Thank you so much, Dr. Danae.
Thank you. And thank you both for being here tonight with us. On yesterday, we had a similar discussion on Clubhouse. And so today we thought that it was very important to bring it even to the larger community. We had a lot of questions. There's a lot of fears. There's a lot of different things that people are concerned with regarding PPP, additional funding options, and things of that nature. Many people have suffered through great challenges this past 12 months or so, 9 months or so. And so we thought it was very important to have this discussion and have some specialists from the industry to be able to answer those questions that come through. So the first question that we have, and I'll ask it to Ms. Lutzy, if you don't mind. Do you want me to call you Heather or Ms. Lutzy?
Sure. No, Heather
Okay.
is great.
Okay, got it. I was just always taught to, put a title on somebody's name, so we're good. Okay, so Heather, we do have the first question, if you wouldn't mind to take this one. What is the difference between PPP, EIDL, and the California Relief Grant?
Okay, gotcha. So that's actually a great question because there is so much information out there that I realize it gets confusing. So PPP is the Paycheck Protection Program. That is administered by the U.S. Small Business Administration via our lenders, such as Everett. So the Economic Injury Disaster Loan is actually a program that the SBA facilitates itself through our Office of Disaster Assistance. So SBA is actually the lender in that instance. And then the California grants is actually facilitated by the California Office of Economic and Business Development. And if I'm not wrong, Everett, I believe that Lendistry is facilitating that program or has a part in that. But again, yeah, that's not an SBA program, but the PPP, both round 1 and round 2 are. And again, those are facilitated by our lending partners. And then the EIDL is facilitated by the U.S. Small Business Administration.
Got it. Thank you. Everett, do you mind sharing a little bit more about the California Relief Grant, kind of how it came about and how it can help the business owners out there?
Sure. As Heather mentioned, the state of California had an interest in supporting small businesses. I think all of us thought that when we went to the pandemic back in March, we were in a sprint, right? To use a track analogy. And now we're realizing we're in a marathon. And then if you're a real runner, we're probably in the Boston Marathon or the New York Marathon. And so as unfortunate as that is, everyone's had to chip in, right? And so you have great programs that are coming out of the Small Business Administration, as Heather mentioned, PPP and EIDL or EIDL. And then state of California decided that they wanted to help. And so the governor, the Economic Development Offices, and the Office of the Small Business Advocate, or Cal OSBA, came together to create a $500 million program to help California small businesses. Most of the information can be found on careliefgrant.com. Again, careliefgrant.com. But it's a grant program between $5,000 and $25,000 to help small businesses within California and nonprofits that have revenue sizes between $1,000 and $2.5 million. Again, there's some ineligible businesses, so you're welcome to go to the website and take a look. And what we encourage you to do is, under information for applicants, is on the right side of the page, watch a video about how to take the application. On the homepage, look at the application guide, and then you're going to apply through a partner. We have over 30 partners who then lead to another 500 sub-partners. All of those partners are there to help you not only with California Relief Grant, but they're also there to help you with PPP. We've got the whole California SBDC network helping, and I believe that's 60 plus offices across the state. Heather has the biggest group led by Scott Rogowski and a couple other great fine individuals. But there's a plethora of what I'll call business service organizations in the state of California, and the CA Relief Grant is there to help the small business owners not only apply for the grant and not only apply for PPP, but really to help them through the current pandemic and the future recovery.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you both for giving us some great detail on what those differences are, because I think a lot of people didn't understand or know what those exact differences are and how they might be of benefit to the organizations out there. We do have some community questions that have come in. Like I said, yesterday we got through the first question and then the community tapped in. And so it's happening again tonight. So I'm really excited about that. The first question says, do the nonprofit businesses such as churches have the opportunity to apply for these grants? So that's the grant through the California Relief Grant, but also is there a grant on the PPP EIDL side as well? So we'll go to Mr. Everett first, and then we'll hear from Heather.
Sure. So yes, nonprofits can apply for the California Relief Grant. However, religious organizations cannot. Now, on the PPP side, and I want to make sure we say the loan, nonprofits can apply for the first draw and the second draw. And there's some rules about, which draw you take. At its simplest level, you have to take the first draw first, and then you get to the second draw at its simplest level. Obviously, there's some more rules around that. And then I'll let Heather answer the EIDL because that's the one I'm not sure about.
Hi. So thank you, Everett. Yes, that's correct. With the PPP, both round 1 and round 2 are available to religious organizations. Typically, religious organizations or faith-based organizations are prohibited from our programs. And with the CARES Act, we were actually able to incorporate those entities into this relief fund. So it's been very, very beneficial for our faith-based organizations. With respect to the economic injury disaster loan, in this instance, it's going to depend what type of faith-based organization is applying. So if they are a 501c3 or a 501c19, they can apply. The 501c6 organizations are currently not available through the EIDL, but they have been implemented into the PPP. So there's definitely some options there. There's, between the state of California, the U.S. Small Business Administration, and then other community grants that are out there are also there to assist. So we can figure out something for these organizations.
That's great. Thank you so much. There is a follow-up question to that one. For the eligible 501c3 faith-based organizations, what is the criteria? I don't know if you know off top what some of the criteria may be to apply, but if you do, or if you have a place that we can direct our community to, that would be awesome.
Sure. So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. No, what I was just going to say is yes, with the PPP round 1, that is still available. The maximum loan amount is still $10 million for that particular component of PPP. Now that we have incorporated round 2, that particular component is maxed out at $2 million. With that said, it's typically a size that we would look at for either of those options, and it's typically 500 employees or less. It depends on how the structure of the organization is put together. So I understand that some faith-based organizations have, say, an umbrella organization on the top, and then the facilities run below that. We don't necessarily have to look at all of the affiliates with the faith-based organizations. So that's really a benefit to us. And typically there's not, in excess of 500 employees in those faith-based organizations. So most of the time we're good, but if you have questions, please don't hesitate to call our office. We're more than happy to help you.
Great, thank you so much. That is very helpful because I personally know several churches that were interested in applying or did apply and just got stuck at the determination letter versus being able to get through as a normal nonprofit because it is faith-based. So thank you for that detail. Thank you for that response to that question. Everett, did you have a response on that as well?
Yeah, I was just going to say, if they go to lendistry.com, at the top it says PPP2 application, and it doesn't matter whether it's 1 or 2. Scroll to the bottom, and then it has nonprofit organizations it has all business types, but nonprofit organizations is there as well. Depending on the grade of detail, like in case the community individual was looking for like literally tell me the documents I need, that's on there. So I didn't know if they wanted that information.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. A follow-up question to this as well. A lot of faith-based organizations, as you stated, Heather, they don't necessarily have 500 employees. They may have no employees. Technically, they may just have contractors or something of that nature. Would that kick them out of the eligibility category, or are they still eligible based on other factors?
So again, Danae, that's a great question because there is so much confusion about this. So with these nonprofit or not-for-profit entities, um, a pattern and an assistance and in that type of those W-2 or uh, additional entities, perhaps they paid a 1099 or a W-3 to an entity, we would also accept that type of documentation. As a matter of fact, there is a Q&A that came out today. I found it about 5:15 this afternoon, so I'm still working my way through it, but I will send it to you. So perhaps you guys can post it. It should answer a lot of the questions with respect to how to calculate the income on their a 1099, depending on how the nonprofit is functioning. There's some different ways to calculate what the maximum loan amount would be based off that payroll component. Does that make sense?
Okay.
I know it gets a little bit confusing. With PPP, just to kind of preference this, the Paycheck Protection Program was enacted specifically for payroll. So the way that the program works is that 60% of the funds have to go towards payroll. The additional 40% can go towards other items such as utilities, mortgage, rent, operating expenses, PPE, damage from any, civil unrest or anything along those lines. But that 60% is really a steadfast rule. But that 60% can also, in order to get the loan 100% forgiven, that 60% can incorporate things such as healthcare, city and state taxes, 401k contributions, that type of thing. So there's a lot of flexibility in the program to where the applicant business could still get it 100% forgiven, which is really the ultimate goal.
Great, thank you. We did have some technical challenges with hearing you when you first started, and I don't want you to have to repeat everything you said. But I do know you said that there's a Q&A document that answers quite a bit of questions for faith-based, and so we will get that out to the community. Sorry about that technical. It was scattered or robotic, I'd say. But I did get that part. And so hopefully the rest of it that we could make out came through very clearly and helped the community. But again, the Q&A, we'll definitely send that out so that people have some sort of a guide, to kind of help them along the way. Thank you for that. So there's another question in here. Did the grant dates get extended? Or are they passed and now there's the 2.0? So for PPP and EIDL, and then we'll go to Everett.
Yeah, because again, these are separate programs. So the PPP was extended through March 31st. So anybody can apply either for the round 1 or for the round 2 through March 31st or until the funding is depleted. With the economic injury disaster loans, those are scheduled to go through December of 21. And we're still accepting those. There is a component of the EIDL that was a forgivable grant. And the way that it was first presented to the public was that it was $1,000 per employee up to a maximum of $10,000. That has since changed. So there's a lot kind of going on in the background. Anyone that previously got one of those EIDL grants is able to now recoup the rest of those funds. So say, for example, you had 3 employees and you only got $3,000 of that $10,000. Our congressional leaders have come together and stated that the intent of the program was that it was supposed to be $10,000. So we're now going back to those applicants that got less than $10,000 and making them whole. The other thing is that grant program will come back online in very short order. And once that happens, the new grants will be allocated to minority companies, disadvantaged businesses in low to moderate income areas, etc. And again, that is a $10,000 grant. It doesn't matter the employee size. So keep your eye out on that. That part is not open back up as of yet, but we do expect it shortly.
That is great. Thank you for that. Everett, on your side of things with the California Relief Grant, can you share a little bit about the dates?
Yeah, Dr. Dene, if you don't mind, because I want to give Heather and the SBA team some kudos before we jump to the grant. And I want to, because I know whenever we have the PPP and you hear the amount of money, sometimes those in the community get a little bit nervous about some of the bigger companies getting the money and it going away. There's a couple provisions this time around that'll allow for some of our business owners to apply, even if they find out next week where a lot of the banks are going to open up their applications, and there's going to be a lot of applications that are going to come through. But there have been provisions made for those that have less than 10 employees. I believe it was 15 billion. There's a provision there for first draws. There's a provision there for those who are looking for under 250,000 or in LMI communities. There's also a provision for second draws, which I believe is 25 billion. And then there's also a provision for community development financial institutions like Lenders Tree to help the communities that we serve. So I want to make sure we bring that up because, again, I believe there's going to be a lot of action next week. And I don't want people to get nervous about, what happened in the first round, because I feel like a lot of times we were still trying to support the businesses, help them get their paperwork together. And, they felt like they couldn't rush to the end and get the money. So I just want to make sure we don't forget about saying that, because I think it's a really important point that SBA has brought along this time. And kudos to them for, creating different strategies. Look, there's no perfect process in any of this stuff, but we're constantly trying to make the tweaks we need to make sure everybody's served. So we don't want to leave that point out. I think it's really important. That being said, it still has to be before March 31st.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, because that is extremely important. Our congressional leaders and incoming administration, this is a top priority for them. So very, very important that we are looking to those smaller companies and to the disadvantaged businesses, and those can come in, from a minority standpoint or from a low to moderate income standpoint.
Yeah. And thank you, Everett, for saying that as well, because it is great. It's great to be considered, when a lot of people saw in the news and in the media, larger organizations getting big money, and people are like, what about the smaller shops? What about the small businesses? So that is amazing. And we thank you for the work that you guys are all doing out there. Everett, can you share about your dates as well for the relief grant?
No problem. The California Relief Grant. So first round is closed, and I'm going to give you two updates. The first update is the next round opens February 2nd through February 8th. That means get paperwork together now and so that you're ready on February 2nd. We gave this time so that it would give the small business owners of California the opportunity to prepare. So again, careliefgrant.com, watch the videos. I don't think any video is greater than 6 minutes. It teaches you how to apply, how to upload documents, how to find the NACES code, any of the things that are involved in the process. It gives you an opportunity to read the guidebook. It gives you an opportunity to go through the FAQs. So that's update number one. Update number two, in case you're a political kind of follower, the governor is planning for an emergency action bill or an emergency action budget to get approved. We don't have the date yet, where they're trying to add another $500 million to the program. And so I bring that up because if you are a political buff or you do follow things, you want to make sure you strongly encourage that to happen. Either one, because you got the grant and you want to support other businesses, or two, because you didn't get the grant and you want more money to flow into the program. So I wanted to bring up both of those, because if another 500 million goes in, then there's a possibility for an extended round two or another round. But for right now, what is set in stone is that February 2nd through February 8th.
Great, thank you. We do have some follow-up questions before we move to the next new question regarding the extension of the, when you said the $10,000, if you got less than and things like that. So for the PPP or the EIDL grant, what's required for a person to get the remainder? Say they got 1,800, but 10,000 may now be allotted. Is there a specific process? Do they reapply? What does that look like?
Excellent question. So what happens is we have records of all of those individuals. We are sending out emails and asking, first of all, if they're still interested, which I would assume that most people are. Because again, the whole premise initially was that they were going to get 10,000. So 1,000 per employee, some companies got 1, 2, 5, 7. We're making good on those others. And again, SBA is reaching out to those individuals. If you are one of those, you should be expecting a communication from SBA within the next, I would say, 7 to 10 days, if you haven't gotten it already. If you don't get it by that time, please circle back with your local district office, and we can assist you in advocating for that completion of the funding.
And that is great. That is great. There's a lot of help available out there, guys. So definitely take advantage of what is being shared on tonight. Everett?
Yeah, so Dr. Danae, we got to tell them. They got to look in their junk mail and their spam. Yeah. Because when you run these programs, it's like the number one thing that we see is that, I mean, we ran a program for the state of Pennsylvania, and I lied to you not today. I saw a message where someone said, "Oh my God, I had no idea you guys reached out to me 2 months ago." And it's, on our side, it's exciting, but sad, right? It's exciting if we still have the money. But it's sad if we had to move on to somebody else because we, in this day and age, we don't want the spam. And I totally get it. We don't want the spam email. We don't want the spam phone calls. But, when you're SBA running the EIDL program or your industry running the CA Relief Grant, we have toll-free numbers because, that's what we have. And we have numbers that you don't recognize. And we have contractors all over the country because we've all had to expand all of our resources to try to help to administer these programs. So I just got to bring that up. You got to, SBA, Relief, Grant, EIDL. These are things you should be searching really probably every 48 hours at a minimum because these notices, as SBA is releasing that money, they have a time frame, I'm sure, in which they've got to reach those applicants because they got to move on to the new applicants. So, we just got to keep that top of mind.
That is a great reminder. So everybody on here and whoever's going to hear this after, when you watch the replay, be sure to answer the phone when it's a number that you don't recognize. If you have applied or you have put in a question, something, don't neglect the number that you don't know, because it could be the SBA or it could be somebody from another lending company or something like that. Check your spam. Very important. Check your spam. We don't want anybody to miss out on these opportunities that are here. These are great opportunities, and I don't even know if they've ever happened before. So these are some historic things happening, and we want everybody to get the help that they need. So thank you very much. We do have another question. This one says, my small business primarily received payments via Venmo and PayPal, and the revenue was recycled back into the business. How does that affect the PPP application?
When they say that they received the payments via Venmo and PayPal, was it actually a PPP loan? Or are they saying that their revenue stream is going into Venmo and PayPal?
Sounds like the revenue stream is what it seems like.
Okay. So if it's the revenue stream that's coming in through Venmo or PayPal, they actually have reports that you can run through either of those facilities. And we would use that alternative documentation with respect to looking at a loan amount. So for example, as I talked about with the Paycheck Protection Program, it's based on payroll numbers. With the economic injury disaster loan, it's based off of revenue. And it looks back to historic revenue. So if by chance, say, for example, in 2020, their revenue stream was, clearly a lot lower because of closures and such due to COVID, we would then look back to 2019 to come up with a reasonable loan amount. And it's typically 6 months of what their revenue was. So if we looked at, say, 2019 taxes, we would just cut those in half and that would be the loan amount for EIDL. That's typically how that works. PPP,
Okay.
again, kind of a different story.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you so much for that.
Mhm.
Anything on the California relief side with regard to that question, regarding where their kind of revenue is funneling through?
Yeah, so the California Relief Grant, similar to PPP, we're going to treat it like revenue, right? So to use Venmo or PayPal, and I'll just say as your bank account, for lack of a better term, that's perfectly fine. It's no different than if you use the traditional bank. One thing I also want to be clear about is it sounds like there's probably a Schedule C, a sole proprietor. So, don't let when Heather and I say the word payroll, you think too deep about it, because what we're really looking at is the net profit line on that Schedule C, which is line 31, and we consider that the business owner's payroll. So I'm not sure if that helps with the young lady's question, but her payroll is going to be line 31 net profit. Again, we're going to be looking at 2019, assuming it's a first draw. We're going to divide that income by 12 and then multiply by 2.5 to determine her loan amount for the first draw. And then for the second draw, assuming that she wants us to use the same records, then we're going to use that same information we got from the first draw, but there'll be an additional application, the second draw application, and then there'll also be a request to show proof that she made less revenue at a minimum of 25% or greater, I'll say it a different way, of a loss between 19 and 2020, which she can show us through quarter over quarter financials, so Q1 versus Q1, or fiscal year end, whatever's easy. So any one of the quarters, so there's 4 quarters, or the fiscal year end, we would accept.
Perfect. So if you can't tell by now, Mr. Everett is a mathematician. So he spewed those numbers out quick. I don't know if you guys will remember all that, but there is a way to calculate these things that could be beneficial for you and your application for all of this funding that is available. And so we thank you for that. I do want to just reset the room really quickly before we move forward. Welcome to everyone who is joining us right now. Please share this stream, share this live. We've got some great information that is being shared on tonight regarding funding that may be available to your business if you meet the qualifications for PPP, EIDL, California Relief, and things like that. Share it with somebody you know. We all know at least one person that could benefit from this information. And so just wanted to put that out there real quick. Share it from the Black Small Business Association Facebook page. It's also live on the YouTube page as well. Heather, you wanted to respond as well?
I just wanted to also, as Everett was talking about the payroll and 2.5%.
You froze again, Heather. I don't know if you can hear us.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Now we can, yes.
Okay. Good. With the updated Economic Aid Act, it actually allows for a 3.5% for restaurants, hospitality industry, gyms, that type of thing. So they're really looking at those hardest hit businesses and allowing them a larger base for that PPP. So just something to keep in mind.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Thank you for sharing that tidbit too. We do have another question, and it says, I cannot have my credit pulled at this time. I would like to apply for a PPP loan. Will this pull my credit?
Sure. I'll take that one. So
Go ahead.
for the PPP loan, we do have to run credit, but we're running what's called an OFAC check. So Office of Foreign Asset Control. This is a federal program. As you can imagine, federal funds need to be held with the highest sense of security. And so what we're really looking for there is as a financial institution is that we don't put the government or taxpayer's money at risk. That being said, there is another way for us to pull the OFAC check. And so what traditionally happens is we go in, we pull the credit report automatically, and then it'll say something like it's locked or it's frozen or something else. And then we have another method in which we use a system called Clear. It's by Thomas Reuters. You might have heard of something like LexisNexis. So same type of company. Well, Thomas Reuters owns both of them, but so we pull the OFAC through that. So I want to say yes because I want to tell you how it's done. but I also want to say no because we have alternatives for it. So I just want to make sure that the individual knows that we have two different ways of pulling it. And again, assuming you haven't done anything fraudulent from a bank perspective and different things like that, then you should be pretty much in safe territory. Now, if you robbed a bank, you might want to tell us right away because we're going to tell you right away. We're not probably not going to go much further here. So we just want to make sure we're clear and very direct and be honest with people.
Thank you.
That brings up another good point as well. Each lending institution is going to have their own set of guidelines that are overlaid onto SBA guidelines. So, as Everett stated, if Lendistry is flexible in that capacity, then perhaps you should go to them first. If that's just something to think about. And I would also caution you not to be shopping around when you're applying for these, because every time you shop around, it's going to lower your credit score. And each lender, again, is going to have a different tolerance level for your credit score. So just something to keep in mind.
That is great. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So this next question says, what if you only received 1,000 but was rejected or did not qualify for the 10,000? So I'm assuming the rest is, with this additional action that's coming out regarding the 10,000. Is it automatic? Do they follow the process as described earlier? How would that work?
Again, this is SBA being proactive and reaching out to these businesses that got less than 10,000. So my advice at this point is to wait 7 to 10 days. If you do not hear from us, please reach out to your local district office and we will assist you. There's nothing really that you have to reapply at this point in time, but at least we can advise you once those details get put into place.
Thank you. Thank you.
Certainly.
The next question says, what are the qualifications for new businesses that has been in business for a year or less? And we'll start with Everett and then we'll go to Heather.
Yeah, so let's try to put some framework around new. If it's brand new, started after the pandemic, and just so we're all clear, the definition of start date for the pandemic is when the governor of an individual state, they're also called the executive of the state, when the governor issued his or her emergency declaration. And so if you're after that, which I believe California is like March 4th, it gets a little bit harder. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but it definitely gets a little bit harder in terms of what you're allowed to do. You're generally going to look for something on the city or county level when it gets to after the pandemic. When it gets to before the pandemic, you're usually okay. So for example, CA Relief Grant says, well, we want you to have had some type of business operations in the pandemic. And so they defined it as June 1st, 2019. Whereas if you look at PPP, it was defined as February 29th, 2020, right? And so you have these different rules for different things. And again, without getting too technical, it has to do with whatever the entity that's issuing the capital, whatever their rules are, because no one had pandemic rules going into this, right? So they had these other rules they had to kind of rely on. And now, as you see in these different rounds, we keep tweaking and adjusting the rules because, again, we all thought we were in a sprint. Now we're in a marathon. We didn't have, quote unquote, pandemic rules. We're lucky. I hate to say it this way, but we're lucky to be in California that's even had natural disasters, because there's some other states that aren't even equipped. We have floods and wildfires, and obviously they're bad situations, but we have emergency cadences to how we handle things. And some other states don't even have that. They've never had anything like this. So that being said, the answer to the question is, again, I would go a little bit more city and county if you were started more recently than March of 2020. And then the other programs you qualify for. The other thing, I just want to be direct with you. We got to be very careful that it doesn't look like we're using the funds improperly, or we're helping to fund someone's business idea or give them seed capital to start a new business. That's not the intent of any of these programs.
That is a great point. I'm glad that you said that because sometimes people misunderstand what is available with seed money and startup costs and things like that. So thank you for clarifying that as well. Heather, anything to contribute to that one?
Yeah, so Everett's right with a lot of the programs. There are different dates based upon the state that you're located in. With the federal program and PPP in particular, the date to keep in mind is February 15th of 2020. So if you were in business prior to then, and when I say in business, it's having a revenue source. If you had just gotten your business license on, say, February 14th, it wouldn't count. There has to be some type of income equated to that business start. So just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. That's good. That's good. That's good. Now, when it comes to business startups, or not startups necessarily, but the newer businesses, what quarters would they use for, as Everett had discussed, like using payroll for quarters or and things like that, if they started like right when things happen, or at the qualification date of February, March 4th or February, or what have you?
So again, as Everett had indicated previously, if we're looking at a business that has been in business since, say, 2019, say we would look at the third quarter of 2019 against the third quarter of 2020. We want to compare like quarters. If the business just started in February of 2020, as I just stated, then we would look to the 12 weeks, or the applicant gets to pick 12 consecutive weeks of their income. So if they were, say, February 15th through December 31st, if their highest income level was in, September, October, November, we would use those 12 weeks. So just something to keep in mind. And again, the document that I'm going to send you that perhaps you could post on your website or get out to your constituents will have a lot of this detail on it. Again, just published today. So unfortunately, I haven't read the whole entire thing. And it's, yeah. We keep
You don't have it memorized?
Not quite yet. Not quite yet.
I know it's a lot. It's a lot. And I'm sure there's consistent changes, but we really appreciate you all sharing what you do know and the actual resources with the documents and things like that, so that we can do our part as a community and do our part for learning it ourselves and making sure we meet the qualifications and the how-tos, and then we contact whatever sources we need to contact for additional information or additional help. Right. And so we definitely appreciate that. There is a question that came in. It's not on the chat, but it did come in regarding the payroll. So if there was payroll for, if they used 2019 payroll, but the 2020 was higher, and this could be to Everett's, to the California Relief Grant or PPP or EIDL, to any, but if someone made more money in 2020 than they actually did in 2019, does that automatically eliminate them from being eligible? We can go with Everett first.
Yeah, so for the California Relief Grant, it doesn't eliminate them. But again, the rules of any program are built for the masses. And the goal of the programs in this particular scenario is to help the masses who've received a loss during COVID-19. So while they're not eliminated, I do want to make sure you know what the prioritization is for California Relief Grant and also for PPP too, where it asks for a proof of 29% revenue drop, 25%, revenue drop. We're really, really trying to help the masses. We're really, really trying to help the people who lost money. And I say all that to say, got to be very careful about, again, the appearance of seed capital or capital to help the business grow versus what these programs are designed to do, help those who are suffering as a result of COVID-19 and the safety and health restrictions that have been placed upon them.
Okay, perfect. We have got quite a few questions in the chat, and we have about 15 minutes left. So we want to get to them as quickly as possible. So Heather, I'll direct this one to you. Is credit used to be approved for EIDL? This may have been answered previously with the other credit question, but just to be clear, is credit used for that? And is credit also used for the California Relief Grant? And Everett, you can take that one.
So with respect to the economic injury disaster loan, because it is a loan that comes with a 30-year term, typically an interest rate of 3.75%, a nonprofit could get 2.75%. We do look at credit because we're looking at the borrower's propensity to repay their debt. If all of the credit is derogatory credit, we're probably not going to be likely to make that loan. If there was an isolated incident, say, a job loss or COVID, and people are having hiccups that are just of late, that's completely explainable. And that's why we really look to having a second set of eyes on these transactions. And sometimes we have a third and fourth set of eyes, because everything is not cookie cutter. There's so many variables that come into place. So again, if, all of your credit is bad and always has been bad, that's problematic. But if everything was good up until recently, or say everything was good up until perhaps there was a death in the family or an illness or something along those lines that we could overcome with just a letter of explanation, then by all means, we want to do that. The whole thing is we want to get money out there to Main Street. We don't want to say no. We want to be able to say yes. Just one more.
That is great.
Yeah, one more thing along those lines, just so people can understand. If they applied for a $100,000 economic injury disaster loan at a 3.75%, you're looking at a $91 payment. So really, it's very, very palatable just to get you through this hard time. Just something to really consider. So if you're not in the realm, or you can't apply for PPP, or perhaps you already have, and now you hit whatever max, think about applying for the EIDL. There's no downfall to applying. Seriously.
Okay. That's great. That's great. What about the California Relief Grant?
Yep. So in the California Relief Grant, we do not use credit, but I do want to just refresh. We are looking for the OFAC check, Office of Foreign Asset Control, and we have two repositories that help us with that. One is Experian, and it's a soft credit pull. So just to be clear, the business owner might never know that we actually pulled it, where we pull down the OFAC information. And then for those whose credit might be frozen, or for some reason we can't get to their credit, we also allow for those who have I-10 numbers. And so we're using another source, which is called Clear.
Great. Thank you so much. The next question says, Everett mentioned the varying start dates. My business is a sole proprietor. It was started in 2019. However, I had a greater than 5,000 revenue in 2019. Should I apply using 2019 tax info or 2020?
Yeah. So let me answer it different ways. So she had less than 5,000 in 2019. So CA Relief Grant is only 2018 or 2019 taxes. So the only option there is 2019, and that will be a qualification for a $5,000 grant. For PPP, she's still going to have to provide 2019 tax returns. So I don't know if that's net revenue or gross revenue, but we'd have to take a look and give her a loan amount. And, it might not be what I would say a large loan amount if she took a loss, right? Because that line 31 is going to be negative. So we would have to look at it on an individual basis. So I'm going to say both of them are 2019 tax returns is what I'm assuming. There's a technicality where we might be able to look at January, February 2020 for PPP. So we could always look at that and see what's the better option for her. But from a tax return perspective, it's going to be 2019.
Perfect. Thank you so much. There is a question on here about your contact info. I don't know if people that come directly through you, or if you want to share how they can contact the SBA, how they can contact Lendustry. But if you wouldn't mind sharing a response to that, I think that would really help ease some people's concerns and things if they can reach someone. I don't know if there's a direct contact for certain regions, but if you all want to kind of explain how that works. Heather, we'll start with you for SBA.
Certainly. So the best place to get information for the U.S. Small Business Administration is on our website, and that's www.sba.gov. We, throughout California, have 6 different district offices, and we have within our website, we will point you to the closest office. So you can just click on the local assistance, and that will help you. Otherwise, they've put my email and phone number right up here. So please feel free to reach out to us. if, I have most of my staff teleworking for obvious reasons, but please feel free to leave a message and we will call you back.
Great, thank you. Everett?
Yeah, I'm going to point you to Lendistry.com, and I'm going to say it for two reasons. Number one, there's over 300 team members at Lendistry, and you don't want me. I'm like the worst. When people come to me and they're like, "Oh, I reached out to you," and I'm like, that was a really bad thing, because I'm the slowest and the most non-responsive. And so I'm going to say Lendistry.com, and then when you go to Lendistry.com, you'll see two boxes there. One box is CA Relief Grant, which is going to take you again to the website. We have 30 plus partners that are going to guide you, but there's also our toll-free number there if you want to call our call center. And then the other box is for PPP, which again, same thing. It's going to take you to our team and our call center. But I really also want to encourage you guys to go through the BSBA, because I think that there's a certain amount of questions, of hand-holding, and of touches that I think it'd be best if you go to them, because that's why they're here, right? That's why Lendistry is partnering with them, and that's why Heather at SBA is partnering with BSBA, because we're trying to take you down the right path, right? And so there's a path to success with these grant programs and the PPP program and all these different things. So trust us a little bit, if you don't mind. Trust us to help you the right way. And so what we're really focused on in Lendistry as a community development financial institution is making sure you have the path to success, not just that you have the information. Because it's a lot of information. We're giving you 3 programs right now.
Right.
It's really technically 4, because the EIDL has a grant and a loan. So, this is a lot of information to consume, and I just don't want you to consume it for yourself. And the truth is that, probably BSBA is going to be the best source for all 4 versus one of our team members.
Well, thank you, Everett. I appreciate that. But I also would like to say that Everett mentioned early on in the broadcast that we've got the small business development centers. They are fantastic, and again, offered at no charge. So the small business development centers, you can reach them at 833-ASK-SBDC. They can help you with all of these programs.
That is great. Thank you for that information. Really quickly, we have a lot of interest regarding the arts and theater and people that work in music industry and things of that nature. Can you tell us if you know of anything coming up that could be of benefit to folks in that particular industry?
I know.
Lead-in question.
I know. Yay. Okay, so this is actually a program that that the U.S. Small Business Administration just came out with, and it's called Saving Our Stages. And it's basically for the arts. So for anything that you would think you would sell tickets to, okay? So whether it be a zoo, a museum, a concert venue, bands, art galleries, anything along those lines. This is a brand new program that was actually created out of the Economic Aid Act, which was a subcomponent of that CARES Act. So it's a program that we actually just had the launch, or the launch video, on Thursday. We expect the program to roll out either this Thursday or this Friday, if I'm not mistaken, but it's a fantastic program. All of us at SBA are absorbing as much information as we can so that we can start to do these trainings. So please look for those. If you do go on, thank you, Shattered Venue Operations. So when you think about this, these are grants. So again, all of these businesses that have been so vastly impacted with this pandemic, we want to provide them assistance. And with this particular legislation, we're able to do so in the form of a grant of up to $10 million. So it's just going to be a huge, huge benefit to our communities. With that said, please, when you go on to SBA.gov, please sign up for our newsletter, because you'll get this information. We'll broadcast when this is all coming out. And I'm hopeful that I'll be invited back once I've, learned a little bit more about this program and be able to share it with all of you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We definitely will have you back, because I'm sure you could explain it better than we can. So that would be amazing. Everett, can you share with the community, say they may not go for the California Relief Grant, or maybe they missed the cycles. Does Lendistry offer any other type of funding options?
Yeah, so Lendistry offers 8 loan products. As you heard us mention, one of our biggest products is the SBA Community Advantage Loan between 50,000 and 250,000. Again, as part of the CARES Act, there is a reduction, or elimination, I guess is the best way to put it, of the guarantee fee. There's also payments being made through the congressional bill. And so there's a lot of benefits there to obviously that program. You get, a certain amount of free payments. It's so weird for me to say it. It's like hard for it to roll off my tongue, honestly, because I'm talking about a loan, right? So, but yes, so that's one. But we do have 8 products. So we have lines of credit, we have term loans, we have commercial real estate. If you like to either purchase a property that you're in or refinance a property, as we all know, there are businesses that are actually doing well. Some of our, for example, logistic company businesses, they've never delivered as many packages in their life, and and they are doing amazing work right now. And we do, and so we have businesses on both sides. So I would tend to think of it as 2 opportunities. One is a working capital and expansion opportunity. One is a debt consolidation because rates are lower. And so there's several opportunities out there in addition to the grant programs.
That is great. Thank you for sharing that. For Everett, are those programs specifically for California, or are they nationwide?
Great question. Yeah, so they're nationwide. Naturally, we have a big focus in California. We have offices in Los Angeles. We have offices in Orange County. We cover the entire state. We also have offices in Baltimore. We have so if team members. I think team members are in 10 out of 50 states, but I could be wrong. And so we are a national lender in many things.
Perfect. Heather, just to clarify, for SBA, PPP, EIDL, and things, the new shuttered venue grant coming out, and any other funding opportunities, are those nationwide as well?
Absolutely. So all of the programs that we offer are on a federal level, nationwide. And even the one that Everett just mentioned, which is near and dear to my heart, which is the Community Advantage Loan Program. That's actually one that I helped create many years ago as a pilot program. And I think last year we got it as a permanent program. So we're just thrilled about that. But just to touch on Everett's point again, right now through the CARES Act and through the Economic Aid Act, SBA is covering up to 6 months of principal, interest, and fees on all newly originated loans. We previously, through the CARES Act, I believe spent $289 billion on assisting borrowers that were within our portfolio of loans and covered 6 months worth of payments for them. So clearly, this is a wonderful opportunity. If you are in the position to expand or to purchase a business, absolutely, this is an ideal time. No better time at all.
For sure.
That is amazing. We're right about 7 o'clock. We don't want to belay the time anymore and give you back your Sunday evening. We do want to say thank you so much for joining us today. We will definitely have you back as long as you're willing and you give us another yes. To have further discussions about even new things that are rolling out, specifically after the new administration changes. I'm sure that there may be some differences and some different programs that may roll out after that time as well. At this time, I do want to ask if you guys have any final comments, anything you want to share, any reminders, any just kind of quick points, refresher points. We went over a lot today. So yes, this will be saved. The community, we will be able to have a replay. We will be able to share those links and get those out there for those who have missed it. At this time, I want to give the floor to Everett to share any final comments.
Yeah, I just want to let you know that everyone here, Dr. Danae, Heather, and SBA Lendistry, we're all here to support you. And so there's still going to be tweaks to these programs. There's still going to be opportunities, but we want to make sure you get the help. So whether you use BSBA, whether you use the SBDC network, we're here to help you out, and we're here to, go through this with you. This marathon, we're going to all be in it together. This is what we do.
Thank you. Heather, did you want to share some final words?
Yes, thank you. I would just really like to echo what Everett said. I mean, it's so, there's so much noise out there right now that you don't deal with this every day. You're good at dealing with your business. You're not good at necessarily navigating all of these different programs and resources. We are. Put your faith in us help you. Absolutely no cost for our services. So whether you reach out to Everett, the SBDC, us here, we're here to support minority businesses in particular. It's really of paramount interest to the administration. And again, we're here. We stand right by you. You're not alone. I think that's just the lesson to take away from this.
That is great. Thank you all so much for being with us today. Again, for everybody that joined us today, we want to say thank you for sacrificing this last hour. I know there's many things on, probably football and all kinds of things going on right now, but we thank you for just joining us on tonight, and be on the lookout. Go to the BSBA, which is Black Small Business Association Facebook page. Go to -ca.org to the website and stay up to date. We continuously and frequently update things and get information out to the community. So we want you to follow us. Again, I want to say thank you to our guests, to Ms. Heather and to Everett. I want to say thank you to the president of BSBA, Ms. Selena Pryor, and to our director of operations for helping this thing go smoothly on tonight, and the team behind the scenes. Thank you all so much for everything you are doing for the community. And thank you to our guests once again. And we will be in touch. To everybody in the community, have a great night, and definitely answer that call when you don't recognize the number. Check your spam for those emails. And if you need any further assistance, feel free to contact us. Thank you all. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.